Welcome everybody to the first ever Happy Hour Productions podcast. We've been busy kind of building this lovely little space that is going to be available for hire very, very soon. So keep an eye out on website and socials for when that comes along. Our first guest today is none other than Tom George, our founder and owner, founder and CEO. Same thing, right?
I don't know what the title is.
No, okay. Of Happy Hour Productions. Thanks for coming in, Tom.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's nice to see what you've done with the place.
If I was to meet you in a bar, Tom, which is highly likely because you named...
I never go to bars.
You name a pub. A pub, sorry. If I was to meet you in a pub and ask you what you do, what would you say?
Yeah, I guess I now, which has evolved over the years, I would now describe I own a creative production agency or a creative ad agency, depending on who I'm talking to. And actually, we help people sell product, and what we do is response advertising. So, and now, we said £43 million worth of TV media has our creative on it. So, I always say it's a big responsibility on us to get it right as well. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of described it. We are with the production end of advertising, effectively. So we make a lot of TV ads and, it's a privilege to do what we do because, one day it's a financial services ad, the next it's quite a hard-hitting charity ad. And so, it's a privilege to get to work across all those different industries.
Yeah, definitely. And for the layman, what is DRTV?
So direct response TV. It's anything with a call to action at the end. So it's driving you to a website to do something, driving you to pick up the phone and get that car insurance today. But anything where there's a call to action is defined as response TV. Yep. Direct response TV is, in terms of the word, slightly more direct. We always describe what we do as brand response because there's always an element of brand building in everything we do. And we're in the business of building the clients' brands as well as helping them acquire more customers. But that's the difference between direct response TV and brand advertising on TV. So a brand ad might be your car commercial, and your car commercial or your brand advertising is doing a different job. It's trying to change your long-term purchasing habits, change your hearts and minds over a period of time. So, if you didn't have a family and then you have a family, you might consider buying a Volkswagen because something tells you they're safe cars. Well, that's 20 years of brand advertising affecting you. So that's your long-term purchasing decisions being changed. Direct response is trying to evoke an immediate response. So, one day of the year, we all need car insurance. One day of the year, we want to think about renewing our home insurance. And so direct response TV is affecting you. It's on with such frequency that it's hoping to get those people that one day in 365 where they're thinking about that particular product.
Yeah. And how easy, how hard is it to kind of measure how successful those kind of ads are?
Yeah, it's very easy for the advertiser and for the marketing agencies. They have all this data now. They can track, but there's normally something like an 8-minute response window where people act on a direct response ad, something like that attribution window. But they can measure, and they can see exactly how successful these campaigns are and what TV stations and what spot times work better than others.
The very early days, those first clients, where was your office? Was your office out of a bedroom? Were you just cobbling things together, or did you think, no, I need a space?
It was here.
It was here. The very first office.
We had one room upstairs.
Right.
Yeah. We started with one room, and we had one client. Actually, as a sole trader, we started. Right. We had 3 of us teamed up, and we were doing corporate film for Nationwide, and we thought we would have a proper business, and let's get an office. So we got an office and an edit suite, There's no working remotely then, but we were working out of a bedroom prior to that.
Yeah,
so we formed the limited company, we got the office, we had that client, and it was something to build on. And within 4 months, we had our first TV ad, yeah.
Oh, wow. Within 4 months, that's amazing.
We did a recycling ad. We had these puppeteered little cans. It was a hilarious cinema campaign.
Oh, wow.
And we made all these puppet cans and had all these puppeteers, which we grabbed all the freelance mates from Aardman, you know, and they were puppeteering these cans from under a piece of decking, you know, and it was all set in a landfill site. It was to encourage people to recycle aluminium.
One important question about that first client and it being a TV ad. I mean, how do you navigate never doing a TV ad before, saying you can do a TV ad to a client, and make, I mean, you know, how's that look like? Do you get just, you know, obviously the Aardman guys might have been able to help you out but it was just... No,
I just had to research.
Just research.
Yeah. I'd heard of this thing called BACC at the time. It's Clearcast's old name.
Right, I didn't know that, right, BACC.
BACC was the original Clearcast, so I'd sort of heard it mentioned and had to look it up. What is BACC? How do we do this? Because that's the clearance body. Get the script approved, get your final ad cleared and get it clocked. I think I was doing sort of some new business calls to regional agencies and someone said, well, all these production companies call us and they don't even know what a clock number is. And I was like, yeah, silly them. Came off the phone, I better find out what a clock number is. And then so I was well informed for the next phone call.
Did DRTV or did Response TV kind of like fall on your lap, or was it something that you went,
Yeah, no, it did. I didn't know much about that direct response TV landscape as such beforehand, but it just happened that a lot of the regional agencies were dealing with that kind of response TV briefs. And so we, as now an agency, learnt by doing, you know, and yeah, they, you know, so the regional agencies really sort of were feeding us with their briefs, and it was great because they were coming to us as they were pitching, and we would be providing quotes for all those. So we got to see a lot of creative, got to see how they were, you know, doing their strategy and their creative for those briefs without us being any kind of competitor to that.
Yeah.
You know, but it was a great learning curve. I found I understood it. You know, I was reading those sort of DRTV scripts and just seeing just a different medium to others had studied in terms of actually how to be really to the point. And so it did. We sort of found ourselves being the go-to regional guys to go to for any kind of direct response TV. And then, it was only 2 or 3 years before we started getting briefs direct. You know, I found, we know this landscape pretty well now. We can write this kind of creative, you know, and not only can we write this creative, but, you know, the thing that those other agencies couldn't do is understand what was achievable on budget. You know, they always needed our input, and invariably they would, you know, still make sort of, I guess, classic mistakes. You know, they'd say, "Oh, the client's only got this much," and you know, so we'll just have some motion graphic stills, and you're like, "My God, we could go out and shoot something really good for this." You could definitely have a scenario-based ad with actor scenarios or a presenter-led creative. These regional agencies rarely made TV ads, so they didn't have any. You know, they were copywriters and art directors doing press ads, and you know, I remember one. They said, "Oh, the client's only got sort of 40 grand. You know, so can we get some stock footage and have some text over it?" And we'll hear the voices of these people talking about equity release. It was back then one of the first equity release companies, who I don't think are in business anymore. Right, it wasn't our creative. So this external agency.
That wasn't our fault. Just we'll put a little disclaimer at the bottom.
Yeah, not our creative. But they just wanted stills, and they wanted to hear the voices of the people, you know, obviously saying what they use the equity release for, how it transformed their lives, and then just animated text in a kind of onomatopoeic way, you know. Yeah. It's ground creative or whatever. I mean, it's like, you know, you don't realise on that budget we could go out and do something, you know. And so it would be that, or it would be the complete polar opposite. And they say, "Oh, the client's only got 40K and we just want to go to like Siberia and shoot, you know, dancing monkeys or something."
We still get those briefs,
Yeah, and it's just, you know, a ridiculous kind of thing. It's like you have no idea about the complications with this creative or what you're asking for is nothing simple when you've got multiple locations and unit moves and animals and they weren't really dancing monkeys. That's an extreme example. But, but when we started getting briefs direct and we found that not only could we write creative that would make the most of the budget, we sort of knew we had had enough experience producing other people's creative to know what worked and didn't work, and know those formats and, some of those tried and tested creative executional styles that we'd seen work.
Yeah.
That we had produced but not written,
Yeah. You've built the foundations of the business and you're starting to kind of like build up your expertise. Was there a milestone where you thought, yes, okay, this is going to build?
Yeah, I would say maybe 2007, 2008.
Okay.
So, and they always say the first 5 years, because we never borrowed a dime building the business. It was just organic growth, reinvesting profits, and we never borrowed any money, to fast track anything. Probably should have done, we might have grown faster, but
did all right.
So the first 5 years is tough. You're sort of wearing multiple hats, having to do all the admin and all the bookkeeping as well, and all that other stuff that you can't afford to hire people to do.
Yeah.
I think 2004 was Screwfix, and for those first few years, so 2004 to maybe 2007 was servicing a lot of regional agencies and fairly regular work. And then 2008, I think we won Wessex Water TV campaign, our creative still very proud of. We came up with some great strap lines, and that actually is brand advertising, weirdly, not direct response. And it was a big pitch, it was the first big pitch to a board of directors, quite a scary pitch. And we were up against all the big regional agencies, and it was very healthy budgets, and it was a year-long campaign and 4 executions across the year, 1 for each season. I was really proud of that. And we had VFX in it as well. And, it was the idea that, if you saw everything we do, we're not doing our jobs properly. It's that idea that they're always working unseen to deliver our water cleanly, safely, and take it away again.
Yeah.
And you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. So, and we loved that. And we had this freeze frame technique, which I think Heroes was on TV around then. And it was sort of that, the creative technique, the executional style was, in Hero blinks and he freezes time. Well, that's what happens in this. And then all these kind of Wessex Water guys come out of the woodwork and do all the fixing unseen. So we were really proud of the creative idea. And we got to shoot across the year in these great locations. We shot one of their lakes down in Yeovil Way. One of the best shoots I can remember.
Awesome.
We had a few days down there shooting a beautiful sunshine day, filming by a lake, nice creative, nice clients.
Yeah, must have been a proud moment.
Oh, it was brilliant, and it was great, and the crew all loved it. Everyone got on, and just it was good, nice, fun work, and creating a nice end product.
Yeah.
And for that, we resourced in, we built up our post facilities a little bit more, and we resourced in all the VFX guys. So we were doing CGI fish and butterflies and all these other things in the lake scene. And that was great, because that was challenging ourselves to kind of take, step things up a notch. That client sort of trusting us as a small company, compared to all these big agencies. But it just showed, actually, if your creative was good, they knew we could deliver the ad.
Yeah.
They could see our show reel and our work, and we knew our production stuff, but actually to sort of say, actually, we trust your creative as well. It's just like, okay, well, that's, maybe this is the way forward.
So with the rise of digital media, how would you say the approach to storytelling and content creation has evolved to meet like changing preferences of audiences?
Yeah, it's evolved in a big way, and I don't think people notice it when they shouldn't notice it. So, like for us, for example, we could have one client I won't mention, but we do the direct response TV for, but then the kind of stuff we do for the digital, for their social channels will be feel-good sort of engagement, documentary style filmmaking. And we as consumers now watch a lot more advertising that doesn't look like advertising, that would have never existed before those social channels. All sorts of subjects are sponsored by someone in majority of cases, and there'll be paid spend behind you seeing that, but it doesn't look like an ad, and it's there to get the likes and the follows, and then you can retarget with more information-based stuff afterwards and slowly get someone in a funnel till they buy. That's changed hugely. And now whenever we're proposing any campaign to a client, we're thinking about those other channels. But as kind of creatives and a production team, it's great for us because, we get to do that sort of high-end commercial over here. And then over here, we get to go out and do this sort of documentary 3-man shoot. Some of the stuff we get to make is humbling.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Children's hospice.
Yeah.
Shoot, for example,
Yeah, Great Ormond Street.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like that where, you you just reflect on how bloody lucky you are in life sometimes.
Yep.
I mean, I've had it even when we did the Macmillan Cancer Research ad years ago, and they were all volunteers, and you hear some of the stories and you just come away and you're very somber after a job like that and realising, God, some of the stuff we do is kind of important,
Yeah.
Some of the stuff isn't, but,
Which means it's never really boring, what we're doing here, because you never know what's going to land on your plate. And if myself as a producer, if I'm doing 3, 4, 5 projects, they tend to be at that moment in time, they'll all be fair, pretty different.
Yeah. It could be something like the Together for Short Lives, or it could, we've shot charity ads, and then the next month we've got Harry Redknapp in a gaming ad, and
Donkey Sanctuary,
and then it's Donkey Sanctuary.
Those poor blooming donkeys. That was a killer. I think Laura did that one.
A short-term loan ad.
Short-term loan ad. Yeah.
So the mix is as diverse as it can be.
Yeah. A bit of an exclusive for our inaugural podcast with Tom and George. After 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm
retiring.
You wish. No. You're handing over the mantle, then you're going to concentrate on, dare I say, your genuine passion, which is filmmaking, feature films, right?
Yeah, well, I've been producing feature films for the last 10 plus years.
Yeah.
As and when
when time allows.
When time allows. But 20 years sort of hands-on running the business. I sort of think, it's time to let some others in the team take over, and run it their way. I'm too old, basically.
I come off
way
it.
too old.
So who is picking up that baton?
So Nicola, who joined us 10 years ago? It was nearly 11 years ago.
She was there before me.
11, I think it's 11 this month, actually.
Right.
So and Nicola, amazing Nicola, joined halfway through this sort of company's journey. She was a client, actually. She was a client. She was an account director at a regional ad agency. I say regional, I mean, it was McCann Erickson, regional office of the biggest agencies in the world. And I'd happy hour had serviced a bunch of ads for them, but we also, I think we were 75% direct client at that point, and we still were sort of looking after some agencies that we liked locally. And she'd been in Australia working for an agency for a year, traveling, and she came back and she came in for a coffee, and she was, we'd stayed with her, we were friends, we got on really well, and she came in for a coffee, and she didn't quite know happy hours makeup at that point, that we had so many direct clients and was doing our own creative, and she came in and it was a really busy day. I was running between sort of voiceover booth and an audio mix and an edit on some various things, and she's like, and she said, who's looking after the clients on it? Who's doing all the client handling? I was like, oh, I'm doing it. She said, you need some help. Like, yeah. Do you know anyone? So she positioned a role for herself. She pitched a role to me, which I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she definitely the best hire I've made. Sorry, Pietro. I know you're saying, but because it transformed the business. I mean, what Nicola did is she brought big agency process and experience to the table, where I had been self-taught and just sort of picked up what I'd learned along the way. But we didn't have client handling experience in there. So Nicola brought that, brought all these other things to the table. And yeah, completely, not just revolutionised the business, but sort of brought a whole new era of fun to the table, because, we enjoyed pitching together. She's got a good creative head on her as well, and really helped me with sort of developing creative fit for the brief and stuff like that. But actually our pitching got complimented a lot. I think Toolstation said, it's the Tom and Nick show. You're coming in with the Tom and Nick show today. And we sometimes would be pitching ideas. I mean, we wrote some lovely ideas for Toolstation that they never bought, but some stuff that actually should never be made. It's such bad taste. But I think we should make it one day. But we barely get through the scripts. We were giggling so much sometimes, and the clients loved it, and we got on so well with those guys. That sort of fun of doing that work as well was a huge part of it.
Yeah.
So Nick was sort of client services director, but effectively my right hand in the business, looking after everything and helping the business grow and, be more commercially successful. And she's now managing director. As of recently, she's managing director, and, it means I can take a step back and focus my attention on the film production. Yeah.
What do you think Nicola's core strengths are that are going to kind of move the business on?
She's just sort of commercial acumen in terms of, I think she's got a kind of a drive to succeed and us to be the best we can be.
Reflecting on your 20-year journey at Happy Hour, are there any real standout moments?
There's a bunch. There's too many to mention, but there's some memorable shoots and people we've worked with over the years. The Wessex Water, you just sat by the lake, pinching ourselves, realising how privileged we are to be doing this. To working with the Harry Redknapps of the world, who's such a character. There's no pretense with that guy. He is absolutely as he appears, and you get to work with some famous people. Yeah. We were making a wine ad and we found ourselves in a vineyard in Bordeaux. I mean, it's just,
why don't we have any of these shoots?
I know. We don't get enough of those. And it's, but the owner of the vineyard is just plying you with his product in the evening.
Wow.
It's just,
wow. That's not a job.
No. To, other amazing shoots. We've had supercars on a racetrack, Yeah. We've shot in Pinewoods underwater stage, with Mike Valentine, who was the Bond underwater cinematographer,
That's cool.
That was for a rice commercial.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah.
But, that's the experiences and all the team experiences that go with that, and you're experiencing those things with other people. And, like I say, I think some we proudly, some of the projects have had lasting impressions on people and made differences to their lives. And that's a great thing. We're not just making, not just helping people sell product, and all those people help. I mean, all those people are a part of it. There's no single person journey, we are a team, and we're, Happy Hour's bigger than the core people even in this building. And when we consider everyone else that's helped on that journey, everyone involved should sort of pat themselves on the back and remember that this is meant to be fun. This is a privilege doing what we do. We should enjoy it. Life's too short to not enjoy what you do for a living, and we should make sure everyone involved in working with us enjoys it as well.
Brilliant. All right, well that's it, and cool. You are kind of relinquished of your duties now. Thanks, Tom, for coming in. It's been wicked.
Cheers.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks everyone. See you on the next one.
Cheers.